Great companies are driven by great people, and there's no one more talented, mission-focused, or determined than our nation's veterans. Our nation's veterans have proven themselves to be a vital asset to our country. Now, let them be a vital asset to your company. Join Hirepurpose and learn more about how we can deliver you the best talent from another great generation.
Joining us now is Zack Iscol, founder and CEO of Hirepurpose. It's a company developed by veterans for veterans. Hirepurpose is committed to helping them address the issues involved with transitioning from military service to civilian careers. Now, Zack is also a combat decorated Marine officer and served in Iraq. Welcome to Hiring America.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So what gave you the idea to start Hirepurpose?
So my background, I was in the Marine Corps and I helped build the recruiting and assessment program for Marine Special Operations. And so that's a process by how do you take a Marine, find them, an active duty Marine, recruit them, put them through a interview process, a paperwork screening, and then a very rigorous assessment and selection course to select them for special operations. And when I got out, I became curious as to whether or not we could replicate the way that we screened and assessed Marines for special operations and applied it to the civilian job market. But over time, we've become something very different. We've realized that the greatest gap in employment is that most of us, when we leave the service, have no idea what we want to do with our lives.
We have so many people who are actively in the military watching this, as well as people who are transitioning into civilian careers. What kinds of areas, what kinds of fields, what kinds of jobs are they well suited for? So
the great thing about Hirepurpose is we now work with over 70 Fortune 1000 companies, and those companies are in a variety of industries. So everything from technology, energy, construction, hospitality, finance, you name it. Most veterans may not have heard of a company like Salesforce, or maybe they've heard of Activision Blizzard because it makes Call of Duty, or they've stayed in a Hilton hotel. But they don't think of these places as places that they'd want to work. How many folks, even non-military, know that Enterprise Rent-A-Car has one of the best management training programs in the country? And that if you graduate from that program, there's no shortage of Fortune 500 companies that would be willing to hire you. But the onus is also on the veterans and the service members who are transitioning to educate themselves about these opportunities, to look in different places that they may not think about. You know, and Salesforce is a great example. There's a lot of great jobs at a company like that for veterans, service members. How many of them have even heard of Salesforce? Know that it's one of the fastest growing companies in America. Know that it's redefining the way that people do sales and lead generation.
Do you have any advice for someone who's leaving the military interested in entering the corporate world?
The number one piece of advice I'd have is take your transition and your job search seriously. And what I mean by that is, like, there's so many unknown unknowns. And I think if you don't take that seriously and realize that it can be really, really hard, it can be a lot harder, because in a lot of ways you're on your own and you can't rely on the system to help you be successful. If you don't have a little bit of fear about that when you're leaving the service, you need to. You know, the same way, you know, fear can sort of fuel you in combat, that fear can fuel you to make sure that you are doing the right things in your job search, that you're, you know, exploring the opportunities that are out there, that you're using your benefits appropriately, that you're not just moving back home because that's what you're comfortable with, but you're going to a place where there's going to be jobs for you and the right types of jobs for you.
So what kind of hurdles do you feel that people transitioning from the military face when they're trying to enter the corporate world?
I think often you have veterans or people who are hiring them try and pigeonhole veterans into what you did in the military is what you can do out of the military. You were a truck driver in the military, let's put truck driving jobs in front of you. And I think that's the wrong way to look at it. At the end of the day, what makes military veterans so exceptional is they're highly trainable, they love being part of a team, they have incredible life experience, they know how to make decisions. And so what I think most veterans don't do is they don't take the time to really explore what's out there and sort of figure out that they could really do anything. And they also have this incredibly generous benefits package that includes the GI Bill that they can use to get the education and the skills they need to literally do anything. You see a lot of folks that, you know, they might be forced to start thinking about it 6 months before they get out because of, you know, new TAP and TAMP requirements. But at the end of the day, they're not really thinking about it because they're still in the service. And so they get out. Sometimes they'll start collecting unemployment because you get unemployment when you leave the military. We see a lot of service members who use their GI Bill to collect their housing allowance as opposed to get an education. And then at the end of the day, now you've spent 2, 3, 4 years using your benefits improperly, and you're no better off in terms of being marketable in the job market.
So what's your goal with Hirepurpose? Where do you want to take it?
I think that military veterans are not necessarily the only group of population of job seekers that are in transition. There's 11 to 12 million people who are underemployed or unemployed. And so I think if we can build a tool that helps solve that gap, regardless of whether you served in the military or not, that's ultimately, I think, a worthy objective for our company. At the same time, if we just become a great place for service members to come to explore different careers, to figure out who do they want to be and what do they want to do with their lives and how do they get there, and we can help them set that sort of objective 5 years out and then help them reach it and be their source throughout their careers. But either way, I'd be very satisfied with the growth of the company.
And you run a nonprofit, Headstrong. Tell us about that. It's locally based in New York.
Yep, so I run a nonprofit here in New York, the Headstrong Project. And basically what we do is we provide completely world-class, barrier-free care to military veterans and their families. And it means that it's care from really, really good therapists and clinicians who know what they're doing, but it's also completely cost-free and it's completely bureaucracy-free. We don't even require proof of military service to be enrolled in the treatment program. And I think if you have the courage to get help and you get the right help, you can get better, and that's what we try and help our service members here in New York do.
So if a veteran wants to reach out to Hirepurpose, where do they go?
So they go to our site, hirepurpose.com. They can build a profile, they can search for jobs, they can read our content that will help them make smarter choices. We have a team of career guidance folks that provide that guidance free of charge to veterans.
Zack Iscol from Hirepurpose, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, it's been great.